Dave Tosh, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. Today I'm joined by Lauren Head. She is the health educator at the Chelan-Douglas Health District, located right here in East Wenatchee. So Lauren's in a new position, relatively new, and we wanted to chat with her a little bit because we believe she can provide a lot of really good information to our community, our senior community.
I think so too.
Nutrition and taking care of ourselves and doing all the right things, and she's got a wealth of information. Obviously, we serve lunch here, 4 days a week, and so we try to do the right things with our meals and balanced meals. We welcome anybody that wants to come out here for lunch Tuesday through Friday, and join us for lunch and learn a lot. And who knows, one of these days Lauren may show up out here and teach us a little more. So Lauren, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you grew up in the Wenatchee Valley.
I did.
You know the terrain very well.
Yep.
And your parents are well known in the community. I think a lot of folks know who Doug Head is.
Yes, and he makes sure of that.
But anyway, so what brought you to Douglas, or the Chelan-Douglas Health District? Yeah,
well, I grew up here. I left for school, was in Portland for many years, and I've been back in the Valley for about almost 2 years, a year and a half now. And previously I was working for a clinic doing health education, so running their health education program. And I have a background in biology. I got my master's in nutrition, and I really latched on to preventive health, the power that food has to help heal our bodies and also prevent all of these, what we call, chronic diseases that don't necessarily need to be chronic or even happen in the first place. And so I decided to pursue, sometimes it's just simply education. People don't know what to do, and once they learn, then they can choose to do it. And so I've always enjoyed teaching, and I wanted to focus on something that could benefit everybody. Everybody eats, and we also, everybody sleeps, everybody consumes liquids, so knowing which one are the best ones to drink, working out, what is the best exercises, those types of things. And so all of that falls into the realm of health education.
And I have a feeling we're going to try and arrange some sessions here at the Senior Center to get that kind of information out. Obviously, we have a newsletter. We might be able to form a partnership and getting that information through our newsletter.
Yep.
I think of myself in terms of what you're talking about. I used to exercise a lot more than I do right now. Some of it had to do with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back into a regimen, a daily routine kind of a thing, or a weekly routine. Have you witnessed some changes post-COVID with regard to some of the lifestyle changes or things that are going on with people, that they've made some changes in their life that could be affecting their health?
Yeah, in both directions. What we've learned about COVID is how at risk people who were already dealing with some chronic conditions were for having poorer outcomes if they were to have COVID, and then the reverse. If you were already engaged in more healthy lifestyle habits, your risk was lower. And so, but it's been difficult. People have been cooped up. We haven't had the same access to things that we would otherwise. And so I've heard stories of a lot of people getting out of their healthy eating routines and their healthy, their exercise habits. And then the flip side, there were people that were all of a sudden had a lot of free time on their hands, and so a lot more walking, or they picked up an instrument and learned it, or those types of things that are all beneficial for our bodies as well. But yeah, one of the big things that we learned and are continuing to learn throughout this pandemic is those who had poorer outcomes were typically in poorer health to begin with, and better outcomes were engaging in healthy lifestyle habits.
So you've been in your position for several months, and you're trying to get that information out to the public in our community.
Yeah.
What kind of things are you doing right now in our community to get that word out?
Yeah, so it's a new program. We haven't had a health education program at the health district for many years, and so really starting from the ground up, and so trying to make connections with community partners that are either have existing programs and being able to support them, or creating programs on my own. And so now I'm planning some cooking classes, some things going on in the school with the schools with after school programming to provide education for the parents. So that type of stuff is coming up. I write some of the social media posts that you'll see on our social media sites, and just getting opportunities for presentations like this, service clubs, that type of stuff. So anyone who would let me talk about health-related topics and provide education, I'm here to do that.
Mm-hmm. I think of some of the things that I've heard. I've been here 9 years now at the senior center, and I talked to a lot of people, particularly at lunchtime. And one of the things that I learned is that a lot of seniors don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
And that is, it's simple, but people typically, water's water, and
yeah,
they just don't bother.
Yeah, and they don't feel thirsty. That's what I hear a lot too. I just don't feel thirsty.
Yeah.
And so they don't drink it.
So you have to force yourself to do some of the things. I want to remind everybody too that's listening that we serve water here every day for lunch.
Good. Good.
We have filtered water. It's cold, and so it's healthy. And we try to promote that, especially with our exercise folks that are coming in here.
Yeah.
And some of it is pretty robust exercise,
Yeah.
And but I noticed too that a lot of them do carry their own water bottles, and they're pretty religious about it. So there are some people that realize the importance of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you want to say any more about that part of it?
Well, I think that there are tricks to get you to drink more water, having it visible, so somewhere where you'll see it and be reminded. That's why having reusable water bottles and this habit that we have now had for many years, but that wasn't a habit before, or really a practice. We bottled water, you just got it out of the sink, but no one was really carrying around their reusable water bottles, and so I'm glad that that's now a thing. But also, sometimes it's more they're disinterested in it. It doesn't look appealing to them. So how can you make it more appealing? Adding in lemon or lime, cucumber, berries, a slice of orange. I mean, any way to flavor your water. Herbal tea also counts. So maybe you're more likely to drink mint tea or chamomile or another type of herbal tea, iced tea. So there's other options where if the bulk of what you're drinking is water. Coffee is a little bit different because it's kind of dehydrating. It still counts, but it doesn't count as much. And so you don't have to drink just plain old water. If you want to add some fruit or vegetable or basil or mint or something like that, that's totally fine.
So do seniors need to drink more water than a younger person?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on your activity level. If you're more active, you require more water. It's the 8 glasses of water a day is a pretty nice, that's kind of been the standard for a long time, and it's still pretty accurate. If you have a more active day or it's the summer and you're sweating more, then you want to drink more water, but spacing out your water throughout the day is okay. But even if you kind of front load in the beginning of the day and maybe drink 16 ounces or 32 ounces of water to just kind of get yourself a little more hydrated for the day, that's fine too.
And if you don't do enough of it, then you're into dehydration, possible fainting spells, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I just always have believed that seniors, as they get older, may not be paying as much attention to it because they, like you say, they don't feel a need for it.
Yeah.
They don't have a need to get a drink of water right now.
Right.
It's kind of forcing the issue.
Yeah, so having your goal, some people put a jar of water on their counter and they say by the end of the day I'm going to consume it. Some people use those 16-ounce water bottles and they try to drink a few of them throughout the day. You can also add water into things if you're making smoothies. That counts as part of your water. If you're having tea, that counts as part of those 8 glasses. So building, just like with anything, it's just building a habit. And the more you do it and set up a system that works for you, where you're being reminded to drink water, the easier it gets.
We have a lot of diabetes as people get older,
Yes.
and they're not maintaining a good diet. They're susceptible to to having diabetes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some specifics with regard to that? Because we do see quite a bit of that, folks that are on a diet just for that.
Yep, I'm sure. And actually, diabetes, I have a particular little passion for diabetes because I worked in the clinic I was working at. There was a lot of diabetic patients, and diet and lifestyle, one of the most impactful interventions that you can have regarding diabetes. There's also a lot of misinformation regarding diabetes. We are continually learning a lot of information about it and the development of the disease. We oftentimes also rely on medication as the primary intervention for diabetes, and because behavior changes are hard, but that doesn't mean that they're not worth it. So I would say working with your provider to develop a plan for you to make dietary interventions and treatment for diabetes. Also, medication has its place, certainly, but we could be talking about any sort of, again, the word chronic, right? Chronic kind of gives us the idea that you have to have something forever, whereas that's not the case oftentimes. So with diabetes, there are definitely people who have healed their diabetes. If you want to say put it in remission, that's totally fine. But focusing on a high fiber diet, nutrient dense foods, which is going to be plant food for the most part, and minimizing packaged and processed foods the most that we can, and high fat foods. So fat, a lot of people don't know that fat plays a huge role in blood sugar regulation. We focus a lot on sugar, but there's also a strong component where fat is a major factor too.
We always hear this word about in moderation.
Yeah.
With anything,
yeah.
Right? Is there anything that you have to be concerned about that's, out of line?
Yeah, we hear that a lot, and I hear it all the time. And the problem is that humans are terrible at moderation. So our bodies are designed for survival, essentially. And so we crave high fat and high sugar foods because we are designed to pack it on for later, for feast and famine world, which we just, at least in the U.S., many people are privileged enough to not live in that scenario. There are certainly still people that do live in that situation, which is a whole other topic. But moderation, I think, should really be reserved for special occasions, and the rest of the time really focusing on eating a simple, primarily plant-based, or plant-forward, whatever term you want to use, diet, because we get those, we eat a little bit of the processed sugar and some of the processed fat, and then our bodies go, I would like more of that, please, and moderation ends up becoming something that's more difficult to control.
Yeah, well, maybe the vegans are on to something.
Yeah.
They talk about the Mediterranean diet where there's a lot of, leafy, green, colorful vegetables, all this stuff that they talk about.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And I think it's important I remind myself continually, it's not all or nothing, it's progress over perfection, and we have lots of years of research with a diet like the Mediterranean diet, which is plant forward. So primarily we're eating plants. And then we have smaller amounts of animal product. A birthday comes along and they make a cake for it, I'm sure. There's little sweets and things that come in here and there. But for the most part, we're talking simple foods that increase our not only our longevity, but our health as we are living out our lives.
Yeah. Well, the term real food has been around now for a number of years. And when I first heard that, I thought, what do they mean, real food? Well, without a lot of additives and all the other stuff that comes along with processed foods, or a big headache and all of those kinds of things. So, Lauren, I see where you brought a book with you today.
I did.
It's entitled The 30-Day Alzheimer's Solution. And, of course, a lot of us are concerned about the Alzheimer's epidemic. People are living longer.
Yep.
They're going to be more susceptible to getting or contracting that. So talk a little bit about this book that you brought with you.
Yeah, I brought this book, which is called The 30-Day Alzheimer's Solution, and it's by two really amazing doctors. They're a married couple, both of them are medical doctors, and they both have backgrounds in neurology, and they're really encouraging people to take dementia, Alzheimer's seriously. We're seeing staggering numbers. So currently 6.2 million Americans have diabetes. The other statistic that I saw was that by 2050, we're anticipating 16 million. So a jump from 6.2 million to 16 million in not a very long amount of time. And 1 in 6 women, if they're age 65 and older, will be diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's if we're going the rate that we're going. 1 in 11 men. I mean, that's a lot of people. And if we're even just looking in like a community like Wenatchee, if 1 in 6 women over the age of 65, 1 in 11 men, we're talking about a huge, it's going to be taxing on our medical system, taxing on our families, taxing on the individual to be carrying the weight of this disease, which is really what we are learning, and what these doctors are sharing is like largely preventable. And so again, my passion for health education is making sure that people know this, that it is not inevitable for you to get some sort of dementia-related disease, Alzheimer's being the most common, but that it's truly the way that we live our lives that's going to lead us down one path or the other.
But I see 30 days, that's like nothing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And in 30 days, you can create a pretty solid habit. And the people that have gone through this, this 30 days of eating this way, of living this way, it's not just food, but also exercise, which I can talk about. I think that's really important, especially for the seniors that come here. They're big on exercise, and that's really important. But they experience actual changes. They can remember things more. If they already were diagnosed with like pre-dementia, some cognitive decline, they will experience some reversals in that as well. And so you can make a lot of change in 30 days.
Wow. That's eye-catching.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Well, as time moves on and you progress in your position over there at the health department, hopefully we can do a lot more jointly.
Yeah.
And set up some programs to help our folks.
Yeah, and I think that it's really important, even if you're older than 65, the amazing thing about the body, it is continually working for us. And we just have to create an environment where it can thrive. And so you might feel like, well, I've already gotten to a point where what can I really do? But there has been, they've done a lot of research with Alzheimer's, with people who have pre-dementia, who have changed their lifestyle habits for not a particularly long amount of time either, and have reversed those. And so our brains are continually making new neural connections. We have the opportunity to improve our vascular health, so thinking about blood flow and improving blood flow, which is going to improve our brain health. All of that can be done at any age. So it doesn't matter where you are, if you're 65 or 85, there is a lot that can be done.
Lauren, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
This has been very worthwhile, and like I said, we'd love to continue a partnership and promoting some of these things that seniors should be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the saying, knowledge is power, and it's really true. And I experienced that working within the medical system, that you just don't know what you don't know. And then when you do, then it's about building a support system. I'm here to be part of that support system for those that need it in order to make the changes to feel your best. We have a lot of sick people that don't need to be sick, but sometimes you don't know what to do or you don't know where to start. And so there's a lot of resources that we have in this community for that, resources here at the Senior Center. Maybe we could set some stuff up to create even more support and resources. But yeah, we have a lot of power and agency over our health, and sometimes we just don't know that we do.
Thank you again.
Thank you
for
for having me.
today.
Really appreciate it.